Okay, here I am in Lightroom, and Lightroom to me is just, it's one of the best applications I've ever used for doing massive changes to a lot of images. And this is my first stop after I do any photo shoot. And here I do all of my heavy lifting and do all of my winnowing, which is photographer speak for getting rid of images you don't want to edit or that are out of focus or poorly composed or whatever. And then I have the images that are left. And I go through those with a fine-tooth comb and decide which ones I want to edit. Now this is a beautiful shoot that I had done in the fog, and it was just a wonderful morning. It was really quiet, and the fog has a way of just kind of diffusing all the colors and giving you this nice rich palette to work with. And in this case, I've got a palette of blues and greens. Okay, now do I necessarily want blues and greens in this picture? No, I think black and white is going to be much better. And for my black and white, I go into Nik Silver Efex Pro. To me, that is simply awesome software. And it does such a wonderful job of converting to black and white. Now, I can convert to black and white in Lightroom. I'm going to select the two of these and compare them side by side. Now, which one is richer and which one jumps out and gets your attention? And to me, it's the one that's gone through Silver Efex Pro. So I'm going to deselect these images, and I'm going to choose one to work with. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to edit this one again. I'm going to edit it in Photoshop. And you ask, why don't you edit it in Lightroom? Well, I could convert it to black and white in Lightroom with Silver Efex Pro because the plugin is right there, but I want to take it into Photoshop because I can work with layers there and I have a little bit more control over what I can do. But first I want to clean this image up a little bit. And so far the exposure is spot on as far as I'm concerned, because I wanted this nice area of just blown out whites, and that's going to let the viewer know that it was a really foggy morning and I've got this sailboat kind of hidden in the mist, and these sailboats are partially obscured. You get this wonderful focal point right here. So I'm going to bring my whites up a bit more to make this really pop. And if I hold down the Option key, Alt on a Windows machine, I've got some blown out areas there. So I'm actually going to back this off just a little bit. It's about right there. And now I'm going to take my highlights here the other way. So I've got this area that stands out in contrast. And now I can actually probably increase the whites here just a bit as well. Yes. Kind of a yin-yang effect. Now when you see these colors pop up when you hold down the Alt or Option key, you know you're blowing out some highlights. Now I want to add a little bit of contrast to this, so I'm going to take my blacks and I'm going to drag these to the left. And when you're working with shadows, you will see some areas pop up like right there. But when I ask myself, what's more important, having extra contrast in the image or losing a little bit of detail right here? I say extra contrast is going to be good. One more thing I'm going to do, because I absolutely love contrast, I'm going to increase the contrast just a bit, but I'm going to do it in the tone curve. And I'm going to go from linear to medium contrast. And you see it makes these colors here pop just a bit. And your eye goes from light to dark. So you get this wonderful effect where you're kind of bouncing around the image. So now let's take it into Photoshop. So I right click and choose Edit in Adobe Photoshop CS6. And here I am in CS6. There's my image. And Nik has given me this wonderful little panel to work with that shows all of the Nik products I have installed. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to start my workflow with Silver Efex Pro IV. Now, I could have gone in and gone with Nik Define, but these were shot at a low ISO, so I don't need to clean up any noise. And I could have gone to Viveza if I had needed to draw any attention to dark areas or shadow areas. But right now I'm going to go straight to Silver Efex Pro 4. And I'm going to use Pro Contrast to really make the difference between the lights and the darks pop. Let's see here, I've got adding some definite definition to the image. And I'm also inducing a bit of a color cast, a bluish color cast. It's bluer than I actually remembered. I could correct the color cast here, but I'm going to convert this to black and white. So I'm happy with what I've got right now. So I'm going to click OK to convert it to add the Silver Efex Pro contrast filter. And notice I've got this on a separate layer. If for some reason it was over the top, I could go up here and lower my opacity. But I kind of like the extra pop and contrast, so I'm going to keep it at 100%. Now I'm going to go to my Nik panel and choose Silver Efex Pro II. Now, Silver Efex Pro, if you haven't used it, is simply awesome. I mean, you can emulate film in here and everything else. And I've got some presets that I've already started with. Now, for this type of image, it's going to be kind of a high-key image. So I'm going to go to my preset for fine art. Now, I like what I'm getting so far, but I'm just going to take the brightness down a bit and make it just a bit darker. Right about there looks good to me. And again, this is all a matter of choice. You're the artist. So now here I can apply color filters. Now look, if I apply the reds, it darkens the foliage. And the orange filter, and the yellow filter does the same. The green lightens the foliage, and the blue darkens the foliage. Now I kind of like the red filter, and these are the same filters that film photographers used to use. Remember film? Okay, now it's made my image just a little bit too dark, so I'm going to ramp up the brightness just a bit. And right about there, I like what I've got. So I'm going to click OK. Now it's going to apply my changes. And another reason I do all of my work in Photoshop, all of my filters, or the majority of my filters anyway, here's another case where I could roll the opacity back and introduce just a bit of color if I wanted to back into the image. But I want it full black and white. So now I'm going to flatten the image. And there, now I'm done. So I'll save it. And Command W, Control W on a Windows machine to close it. And now I'll go back into Lightroom, and there's my finished image.